May we request you to join us on the dais, sir? Ambassador Kumar will be chairing a panel of very distinguished speakers. I have the pleasure of inviting Mr. Tenzin Lekhphell, Secretary General of BIMSTEC, Mr. Resila Veerakun, Secretary General of SAARC, Mr. Isiaka Abdul Qadir Imam, Secretary General of D8, Mr. Paul Vincent Uy, Assistant Secretary, Department of Foreign Affairs of Philippines, and Ms. Afreen Akhter, Deputy Assistant Secretary of State of USA. I now hand over the proceedings of this session to Ambassador Saurabh Kumar.
So, good evening, everybody. We would be now starting the last plenary session. I was sitting through the last one and I heard Minister of State for Bangladesh saying that the risks of having a post-lunch session is people falling asleep. I think the risks involved in the last session is that after the intellectual rigors of 2 days, we might have less audience. But let me mention that we are very happy to have a very distinguished panel. It is slightly different from the other panels because 3 regional bodies are represented out here. So let me start by introducing immediately to my right is Mr. Isala Veerakun, who is the Secretary General of SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. To his right is Mr. Tenzin Lekhphell, Secretary General of BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. And to his right is Mr. Isiaka Abdul Qadir Imam, Secretary General of D8. To my left is Ms. Afreen Akhter, Deputy Assistant Secretary, State Department of the US. She looks after the countries in India's vicinity, including Bangladesh. And to her left is Mr. Paul Vincent Uy, the Assistant Secretary, Department of Foreign Affairs of the Philippines. So in the interest of time, what we would do is we would follow the same format which was followed for the earlier panel. That's what I have been told to do. And we would have each participant making a statement, and there'll be 2 or 3 questions, and we would move on to the next person. And towards the end, I would try and sum up the discussion. So let me take the liberty of inviting Mr. Tenzin Lekhphell to make a statement.
Mr. Chairman, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure to listen to all the distinguished speakers and panelists who spoke today, and I look forward to listening to those who would be taking the floor after me. These 2 days have been very enriching and enlightening experience for me, and it is an honor for me to participate in this conference. I want to thank the government of Bangladesh, the Ministry of External Affairs of India, the India Foundation, and the Rajaratnam School of International Studies of Singapore for organizing this conference. You have brought together a wide array of stakeholders from a range of countries and organizations to deliberate on a theme that is of critical importance to not just to the Indian Ocean, but to the entire world. Excellencies, the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral and Technical and Economic Cooperation, BIMSTEC, consists of countries around the Bay of Bengal region, which is an integral part of bigger Indian Ocean. 5 of our member states are from South Asia: Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, and 2 are from Southeast Asia, Myanmar, and Thailand. BIMSTEC is therefore often perceived as an organization that forms a bridge between South and Southeast Asia. Formed in 1997, BIMSTEC has gained new vigor with the adoption of its charter last year during the 5th BIMSTEC summit held in Colombo. The charter, which confers legal personality on BIMSTEC, identifies amongst its purposes the maintenance of peace and stability in the Bay of Bengal region through close collaboration in combating international terrorism, transnational organized crime, as well as natural disasters, climate change, and communicable diseases. The Charter, amongst others, also lists as BIMSTEC's purposes the maintenance of close and beneficial cooperation with existing international and regional organizations with similar aims and purposes, creating an enabling environment for rapid economic development, accelerating economic growth and social progress, providing assistance to each other, and cooperating more effectively in joint efforts that are supportive of and complementary to national development plans of the member states, which result in tangible benefits to the people in raising their living standards. All this relates directly to the theme of this 6th Indian Ocean Conference: peace, prosperity, and partnership for a resilient future. To ensure that the Indian Ocean region is peaceful, prosperous, and resilient, the countries in the region need to strengthen existing partnerships between themselves, with the Indian Ocean users as well as others, both organizations and states. BIMSTEC, in this connection, Excellencies, can serve as an important and central tool for its member states and like-minded partners to work towards maintaining peace and achieving prosperity for a resilient Indian Ocean region. Making use of the BIMSTEC Charter provisions that enable BIMSTEC to cooperate with international and regional organizations, admit states, regional organizations, and international organizations as observers, and also admit new members are important aspects in this regard. Distinguished delegates, the Bay of Bengal region that makes up BIMSTEC is a home to about 1.8 billion people. This is a substantial percentage of the population of the Indian Ocean region, which is considered to be around 2.7 billion. The combined GDP of BIMSTEC countries is considered to be over 3 trillion US dollars, and considering the geographic location of member states that make up the organization, BIMSTEC can be considered central to the Indian Ocean hub in both security and economic terms, and for achieving sustainable development consistent with the BIMSTEC Charter. Evolving BIMSTEC to play such a central role requires commitment, creativity, innovation, sustained political will, openness, and vision among the BIMSTEC member states. It also requires consistent hard work to forge ties with like-minded partner nations and organizations across the Indian Ocean region and beyond. Deliberations at these two important days of conference, I believe, could in fact draw attention to this aspect and ignite the minds of the state representatives as well as other stakeholders as to how BIMSTEC could be mobilized and evolved to play a central role in securing sustained peace and prosperity in the Indian Ocean region. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that all of us at this conference, representing different member states and organizations, are here because of our commitment to have a shared vision of Indian Ocean built on peace, security, stability, and prosperity. As a state-led and government-driven organization, the BIMSTEC member states set the agenda for BIMSTEC. And I hope that the BIMSTEC member states will ensure that BIMSTEC evolves and grows in a manner in which it can play a central role in achieving this shared vision. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Secretary General. The floor is now open for questions. Is there a mobile mic around?
Thank you very much, Excellency. Naturally, BIMSTEC evokes the greatest of interest in all the countries of the Indian Ocean region, and India is no exception. My question to you is that with regard to the much vaunted and much emphasized maritime connectivity segment of BIMSTEC, where are we now? And in terms of actual execution of the projects that have been outlined in BIMSTEC, and what do you think countries like India or Bangladesh working in concert might better contribute to the improvement and the enhancement of maritime connectivity between that BIMSTEC has espoused? Thank you.
Thank you for this. I think I just would like to explain a few things that BIMSTEC is currently working on connectivity, especially with regard to maritime. The first thing is just in the last summit, the master plan of BIMSTEC master plan for connectivity, which has 267 projects, and that includes maritime, land, air, and river, and all these connectivity projects. So that is one master plan that has been adopted, and the member states are now will take note of the master plan and start implementing. So we are in the process of implementation of these master plans. And the second thing is just in the last senior officials meeting and ministers meeting, 19th ministerial meeting of BIMSTEC, we have adopted a maritime cooperation agreement between the member states. And in the upcoming summit, this maritime agreement will be put forward for signing and then ratification. And this, I feel this, at this moment, the maritime agreement that is approved and will be signed in the next few months, I think that will have a lot of impact and in terms of maritime connectivity between the ports, water, and then connecting even to the upper Himalayas. So at present, this is the development that is there in terms of connectivity and specifically maritime. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Secretary General, nice to see you again. Having been involved in the process of BIMSTEC of 5 to BIMSTEC of 7, then Indian Secretary East, one of your predecessors, Rajiv Sikri, we sat in Bangkok till 4 o'clock in the morning trying to find out how do we change the name of BIMSTEC now that we have 2 members, Bhutan and Nepal. At the last civil society meeting we had in Colombo, at the time of the BIMSTEC summit, remember you were there, and that was again organized by India Foundation and Pathfinder Foundation of Sri Lanka. If you remember the participants, Mr. Ramadha was also there. We had sizable number from Sri Lanka, it was the host country. We had sizable number from India, 5 from Bangladesh, none from, 1 from Nepal, none from Thailand, none from Myanmar. So it was kind of a reflection to me, and Anil Trigunath is also here, we were both there. We're trying to bang our heads to find out how do we brand BIMSTEC. And that really was an answer we have not. It's not a toiletry product that you have shiny TV advertisements. These regional organizations have to be one that touches the people. The people have to feel that we belong to something. And I don't know if BIMSTEC is really able to brand itself yet. One may say a lot of things bad about SAARC, and maybe there's reason I don't envy Isela at all. But the fact remains that SAARC was branded at its very birth. It started with a charter. It took BIMSTEC 25 years to have adopted a charter. So do you see that BIMSTEC has been, I know a lot of programs and you and I talked about it, I have seen in the papers, I've written a lot about it, but has it been able to convince the population of the member countries that there is something in BIMSTEC that is in our interest economically, socially, multi-sectorally, etc.? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think this is one of the issues that we are constantly discussing on the BIMSTEC visibility and the BIMSTEC community spirit that is required to be built not just within the think tanks and the foreign ministry officials, but it needs to go beyond this and involve and engage our common people, the youth. So this is constantly being discussed, and this is something that we cannot do at within a short period of time. I think it requires some time, but definitely this is a very important agenda that we are trying to take forward, and bit by bit in small programs we are trying to improve the visibility and let the people hear about BIMSTEC. So just recently, to begin with, in 2-3 months back, we had a BIMSTEC quiz competition amongst the students of 7 member countries held in Bhutan, where we engaged our students from all 7 countries and asked about BIMSTEC, so that this will start through social media and live coverage, that the BIMSTEC is known by our youngsters. So it takes time. This definitely is an issue, but the member states as well as the Secretariat, we are aware of this issue, and then step by step we are trying to make some programs on this.
Yeah.
Just saying that why don't you have more civil society activities within the BIMSTEC? By the way, Mr. Rajiv Sikri happens to be related to Ambassador Veena Sikri.
We have also a BIMSTEC network of think tanks where our think tanks are engaged, and this is one institution that the think tanks from the different 7-member countries, we have formed an institution, but we have not really now moved on to the other civil society organizations. But I think this is something that over a period of time, BIMSTEC can consider and move forward.
One last question for the Secretary General, Ambassador Sajana.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary General, for your very comprehensive and detailed articulation of the process of evolution and the programs of BIMSTEC. My question, sir, to you is about the free trade agreement between the BIMSTEC member states. We've been talking about it for a long time. What is the present status? What are the bottlenecks? And I guess if we are able to get, I'll not say if, when we are able to get to the FTA, of course, it will be a very strong message out and a connection between South Asia and Southeast Asia, which is so very well required because Southeast Asian countries have been very dynamic as far as their economic growth is concerned. And what you were mentioning also, Mr. Secretary General, about the branding, how people will start talking about it. I think once we have an FTA and it starts delivering, that itself will be the best branding for this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, just this morning before we came to this conference, I was meeting with our chair, the Foreign Secretary East, and specifically discussing on this free trade FTA, the trade agreement in the 7 countries, that this is something that BIMSTEC countries was founded on, and it is a core sector for BIMSTEC, and that now we need to take it forward. So what should be the, I know there has been several meetings in the past, the member states have tried to come together, negotiate, but I understand the trade involves a lot of negotiations, and probably it is because of this that it has not fetched far. But having said that, we are now trying to, instead of going for the overall FTA, in fact, trying to discuss with the member states whether there could be some other trade areas, such as trade facilitation, customs, things like that. Instead of going for the overall FTA, we could go to the low-hanging fruits within the FTA. So this is something that I had been discussing with the chair, and as well as pursuing with Bangladesh, who is the lead country in trade and investment. So it takes time, but definitely this is one, very important area that the Secretariat, member states, everybody is again very cautious of, and then trying to take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary General. May I now request the Secretary General of D8, Mr. Isiaka Abdul Qadir Imam, to make his presentation, please.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Kumar, the Chair. Your Excellency, distinguished speakers, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. My name is Ambassador Isiaka Imam, and I'm the Secretary General of the D8. The D8, in short, is an abbreviation for Developing 8 Countries for Economic Cooperation. It's an organization of 8 developing countries, which is headquartered in Istanbul, Turkey, and it comprises of 8 developing countries established in 1997 purposely for enhancement of economic cooperation and trade among these 8 countries. I will try to make my speech very, very brief. I wish to observe the established protocol for today's gathering respectfully. I am honored to be here with you all among a panel of distinguished individuals at this momentous occasion of the 6th Indian Ocean Conference holding in this vibrant city of Dhaka. I thank the government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh for having me here My appreciation also goes to the government of Bangladesh for the very warm welcome and hospitality accorded to me and my delegation. I commend the government of the people of the Republic of Bangladesh for generously hosting this very important conference. This is also a mark of the growing leadership of Bangladesh in this region. On a very personal note, I am always happy to visit the vibrant city of Dhaka, a city that keeps growing and continues to develop. This is a mark of the robust economic development that has been made possible by the visionary leadership provided by Her Excellency, Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to commend this leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister, and who deserves our commendation and applause. Could you please give the Honorable Prime Minister a very resounding applause, because she has seen Bangladesh through rapid economic development. Recently, a very long bridge was commissioned here, using the capital and funds from Bangladesh and expertise from Bangladesh. And I'm also aware the train was recently launched as well as numerous infrastructural development. This has actually brought Bangladesh out and enhanced its status from an LDC to an emerging economy. Congratulations also goes to the Indian Foundation and the Rajanatam School of International Studies for jointly co-organizing this crucial event. Before continuing, allow me to highlight the structure of my presentation today. The first part of my presentation will be to renew our knowledge of the Developing Aid Organization, or the D8 organization, of which I'm serving as the Secretary General. Afterward, I'll present the linkage between my organization and the theme of this conference. Excellencies, distinguished participants, the Developing Aid Organization for Economic Cooperation, or the D8, was founded in 1997, like I mentioned earlier on, by 8 developing countries, namely Bangladesh, Egypt, Indonesia, Iran, Malaysia, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Turkey. Bangladesh is the current chairperson, or the chair of the organization. The D8 organization secretariat is located in Istanbul, in Turkey, like I mentioned earlier on. The organization was established with 4 objectives in mind, namely 1, to improve the developing countries' position in the world economy, and 2, to diversify and create new opportunities in trade relations, and 3, to enhance participation in decision-making at the international level, and finally, to provide a better standard of living for its people. The organization's priority areas include trade, agriculture and food security, industry and SME, energy, transportation, tourism, health and social protection, information and communication technology, and education and human resource development. In addition, the D8 organization is also embarking on mainstreaming women and youth empowerment issues. The organization is home to more than 1.6 million people, or 12% of global population. Our combined GDP in 2021 was about $5 trillion. The D8 member states contribute to around 11% of global trade, which is valued at approximately $2 trillion in 2021. All of our member states recorded significant growth, with 2 of our member states being members of the G20. That is namely Indonesia and Turkey. Excellencies, the D8 organization's membership composition is quite unique. This is because our members are spread across 3 continents, namely Asia, Africa, and Europe. 5 of our member states are also in the Indian Ocean region, Bangladesh being one of them, Indonesia being one of them, Iran, Malaysia, and Pakistan. The Indian Ocean region has long been an important strategic and economic region globally. It is home to several important trade routes. Indeed, many of the world's major economies rely on the region for the energy and other resources. However, this region has also been plagued by conflict and instability, with various nations vying for power and influence. Being economic in nature, the D8 organization does not dwell on the political and security aspect of the Indian Ocean region. From the economic point of view, there are 4 significant contributions of the D8 organization in creating peace, prosperity, and partnership for resilient future of the Indian Ocean region. Firstly, the D8 organization is a staunch promoter of peace and stability among our member countries. We promote cooperation in the listed priority areas through our various initiatives. In so doing, the D8 organization is equipped with significant affiliate institutions such as the D8 Technology Transfer Exchange Network, and we also have a D8 University, both of which are located in Iran. Iran is also a member of the Indian Ocean region, and she is a very active member of our organization. There are also the D8 Research Center for Agriculture and Food Security, and the D8 Network for Pioneers for Research and Innovation, both of which are based in Pakistan. We also have the D8 Health and Social Protection Program, which is based in Abuja in Nigeria. This is one of our very, very important affiliate bodies. It takes care of our health-related issues and social protection matters. And we are also gearing up to establish the D8 Youth Council, which, when it becomes operational, will be based in Bangladesh. Secondly, the D8 has also significantly promoted economic growth and development in the Indian Ocean region through initiatives designed to increase intra-trade and investment flow. One of the key initiatives established to promote economic cooperation among member countries is what is called the D8 Preferential Trade Agreement. I heard my last speaker mention about the free trade area in the Bay of Bengal. We also have what we call the D8 Preferential Trade Agreement. This agreement aims to reduce tariffs and other trade barriers between member nations of the D8. It is expected that inter-trade volume in the D8 would reach about $500 billion when this instrument becomes fully operational. Thirdly, the D8 organization always promotes collaboration and partnership. And I'm very pleased to note that this is one of the themes of this important conference, dealing on prosperity and partnership. In that regard, the D8 organization, it has expanded its external network with other international organizations and development partners. We have developed significant working relationship with the United Nations and its specialized agencies. The D8 organization also has an observer status at the United Nations General Assembly. This affords the organization the opportunity to be in the front seat of global discourse. In conclusion, Mr. Chair, Excellencies, one key element through which D8 has contributed to creating peace and prosperity among its member states and in the Indian Ocean region is through collaboration or partnership. Collaboration is very, very important to address the need for more resources for any organizations to thrive and progress. This is why the D8 organization is also a staunch promoter of triangular and South-South cooperation. We believe in promoting partnership for social and economic development, and we welcome collaboration with like-minded organizations in the Indian Ocean region and beyond in order to create a more stable and prosperous environment where businesses can operate. As we look to the future, it is clear that the D8 will continue to play an essential role in shaping economic landscape of the Indian Ocean and beyond. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Secretary General. The floor is now open for questions.
Excellency, may I?
Yeah.
Greetings. So I'm Sriram Chowli, a professor from India. Now, your organization, you said it spans 3 continents. So, unlike most of the regional integration mechanisms and institutions, this is pan-regional. And in that sense, there is no geographical logic for supply chain integration, regional trade and such things, right? So, in that sense, is that a problem for you? I mean, what is the basis of the institution if it is not centered in one sub-region, but is spread out geographically? And how have you been able to, because then each country will have different trade and investment orientations depending on the location, right? And now there is all the talk about friend-shoring and near-sourcing rather than outsourcing. So in that sense, is this a limitation of the organization, or you think it still has some concrete logic underlying it for it to continue to grow and thrive as a collective?
Thank you very much. Can I take it? Thank you very much for this question and also an observation. It could be, yes, we are not a regional organization, as the case is. We are not, for example, like the African Union. We are not ECOWAS. We are not ASEAN, in terms of regional cohesiveness. But that it could be seen as a challenge, but it could also be an opportunity, because right now, you will agree with me, it's a global village. There are so many ways you can connect yourself by way of trade. You have digital platform. You also have air connectivity, to bridge. You also have marine connection. So we want to seize on the opportunity that there is a lot of other ways to connect ourselves, especially through air connectivity, the digital platform, and the marine. That's what we're trying to use to overcome those challenges. You are very right. Because we're not a regional organization, it could be a challenge, but we could also turn that into an opportunity, which is what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, there is, right. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. My name is Apoorv. I'm from India. Just wanted to understand the membership of D8. All the D8 countries are also members of the OIC.
Yep.
In the future, do you see a possibility of a non-OIC country being a member of D8?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Actually, it is the D8. People tend to have some kind of a misconception that the D8 is an offshoot of the OIC, or the D8 is strictly an Islamic organization, which is a fallacy, really. You could say because all the members are also OIC member states, you could be right in that respect. But the difference between the D8 and OIC is that the D8 does not have a political platform. It was not established for political purposes. We were established for the purpose of economic and trade relations. Because of the smallness of our membership, we are able to take decisions, economic decisions, faster than what you would have had in the OIC, which is by far a larger, much larger organization. By the way, OIC is the next second to the United Nations, if I'm correct, in terms of membership. So because of that, it's a bottleneck. It's very, very difficult to reach a consensus in the OIC. You have to vote, you have to lobby to reach an agreement. We don't have that problem at the D8 because of our sizeness, because of the compactness of our own organization. We are able to reach decisions much quicker, even though it's also based on the principle of consensus. But we are able to move much faster than the OIC. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary.
That's it. Thank you.
May I now request Assistant Secretary for Foreign Affairs of Philippines, Mr. Paul Vincent Uy, to make his presentation.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. First of all, I wish to thank host governments of Bangladesh and of India for inviting us to this important event. It is an honor for the Philippines to participate in this 6th Indian Ocean Conference here in Dhaka and continue our engagement in this platform. As the Philippines is a maritime and archipelagic state situated in some of the busiest waterways in the Indo-Pacific, vulnerable to the effects of climate change and threats to biodiversity, as well as the challenging political and security environment, the theme for this year's conference, Peace, Prosperity, and Partnership for a Resilient Future, resonates deeply with the government and people of the Philippines. Thematic Session 1 has discussed roadmap for an economically sustainable future in the Indo-Pacific. The Philippine administration's current priorities towards the vision of a stable and secure future for all Filipinos are all inextricably linked to the maritime space. Therefore, the oceans, how they are governed, and how the resources therein are managed will always be of primary importance to the Philippines. Some of the major challenges that confront us today include biodiversity loss and depletion of fisheries. These are critical points for action, especially for Asia-Pacific countries, as the region is the world's largest producer of fish, and hundreds of millions depend on the bounty of our oceans and inland waters for their livelihood and nutrition. The Philippines, for its part, continues to take consistent and concrete action against IUU fishing, as well as to harness modern technology towards effective stock management, in line with our commitments to the SDG 14 and sustainable oceans. We are also determined to pursue innovations in promoting sustainable aquaculture, noting this sector's increasing importance to global food security. Additionally, we are also committed to the move towards sustainable shipping industries. Next week, the Philippines will co-host with Denmark a regional forum on decarbonization in Manila. Topics involving energy efficiency in shipping operations, optimization of maritime routes, education of seafarers, as well as IMO regulations are very much relevant to the Philippine maritime industry goals. Thematic Session 2 has tackled forging partnerships in the Indo-Pacific for peace and prosperity. As a member of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, the Philippines aligns itself with the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific. We foresee ASEAN centrality as the underlying principle for promoting cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region through various ASEAN-led mechanisms. The AOIP highlights the importance of the maritime domain as a key element in the evolving regional architecture, for which we have indicated maritime cooperation as a priority area. ASEAN upholds the primacy of international law, including the UNCLOS, in the management and resolution of maritime disputes, and in undertaking cooperative activities in promoting maritime safety and security, addressing transnational crimes, protecting the marine environment, and using sustainably the marine resources. The Philippines is interested in promoting maritime security cooperation bilaterally and regionally, in accordance with international law. In particular, the Philippines takes interest in India's security and growth for all in the region, particularly on how it could match ASEAN economic initiatives. And we are eager to hear the views of others on this matter, to see how Indo-Pacific countries can work together intra-regionally on matters of common interest. Thematic Session 3 has discussed the rise of a peaceful Indo-Pacific for a resilient global future. As an instrument of peace, the UNCLOS is the constitution of the oceans, and it is a comprehensive regime for all matters relating to the law of the sea, and defines with clarity maritime zones together with states' rights and obligations in each zone. The 2016 Arbitral Award in favor of the Philippines was an affirmation of UNCLOS dispute resolution mechanisms by conclusively settling the status of historic rights and maritime entitlements in the South China Sea. It declared as without legal effect claims that exceed geographic and substantive limits of maritime entitlements under UNCLOS. It upheld the Philippines' sovereign rights and jurisdiction in its exclusive economic zone. It not only sets reason and right in the South China Sea, but it is an inspiration for how matters should be considered through reason and right, not through power and might, by states facing similarly challenging circumstances. There is a growing list of countries that have expressed explicitly their support for the award as a demonstration on how to use UNCLOS in the pursuit of peacefully resolving maritime disputes. As a maritime and archipelagic nation, for the Philippines, the 2016 Arbitral Award and UNCLOS are important tools in our arsenal to protect the political, security, social, and economic interests of the Filipino people today and for generations to follow. We hope other countries that believed in the importance of international law and adherence to the rule of law in peacefully resolving disputes to affirm this faith by expressing explicit support for the 2016 Arbitral Award and join the list of countries that I wouldn't mention anymore for lack of time. Thematic Session 4 will tackle dealing with non-traditional security challenges for a peaceful and sustainable Indo-Pacific. We recognize that multifaceted challenges of marine litter and plastic pollution, as well as other non-traditional security threats, require a comprehensive approach. Marine litter and plastic pollution are multidisciplinary challenges that require a comprehensive approach towards a solution. They impact water and food supplies, public health, as well as industries such as fishing, shipping, and tourism. As an archipelagic country, the Philippines prioritizes the mitigation of marine litter. It has been included in all our discussions on maritime cooperation, whether bilateral, regional, or global, precisely because support for healthy oceans is a shared goal. The Philippines has adopted a national plan of action for the prevention, reduction, and management of marine litter with an aim to achieve zero waste in the Philippine waters by 2040, complemented by recently passed local legislation introducing extended producer responsibility on plastic packaging wastes. The Philippines is also a member of the Group of Friends to Combat Marine Plastic Pollution. As we share the same views on this issue, perhaps this multilateral mechanism for cooperation could spawn bilateral cooperation. To conclude, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to reiterate that our President is aware that the unprecedented challenges of our times require the forging of ever closer and more effective partnerships, particularly in our own region. While stakeholders may have differing approaches to various aspects of the maritime space, one thing remains undeniable. We must enhance partnerships to ensure that the oceans remain zones of peace and prosperity for the benefit of the present and future generations. Thank you for your kind attention.
The floor is now open for questions. Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to check the UNCLOS arbitration award that you've won. Your previous president had voluntarily not wanted to pursue that. Have you now decided to again press for it? Are you going to go and have that implemented? What's your plan of action for that particular thing? The UNCLOS arbitration agreement that came in your favor, your previous president decided not to press for it. Now, is the current government willing to push it, willing to stake your claim or not? And by the way, congratulations for buying BrahMos from us. Hopefully this year you should be getting the deliveries.
What did we buy?
BrahMos.
Anyway, yes, may I? Thank you for the question on the UNCLOS. It depends on the definition of press. We have actually always been implementing the arbitration award on our side. Perhaps the former president was not just publicly pronouncing it during his speeches overseas for us to have more favorable and friendlier relations with China. And what did we buy? Sorry, I didn't get it. What did we buy from you? And
the BrahMos missiles.
Yeah.
The BrahMos missiles from India, the DRDO.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that. I don't handle Asia-Pacific affairs. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. I think there has been a very positive developments in Philippines foreign policy for the last couple of months. And according to Reuters report, President Marcos agreed that Philippines is going to have joint South China Sea patrols with the United States, Australia, Japan, and even South Korea. So do you have anything to update on this statement of your president? Thank you.
Well, for now, what I can say is that I could just echo what our secretary has already publicly pronounced on alliance with other countries, specifically the United States of America. We have proclaimed that the U.S. is the Philippines' only treaty ally. This alliance and partnership is critical to ensuring our individual and collective ability to promote peace and stability in the region, as well as address new and emerging challenges in this region. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreements between the Philippines and the United States is one of the cornerstones of our security and defense relations with the United States. Our arrangements in this EDCA, in this agreement, bolster our interoperability for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, as well as addressing security challenges.
I would just take one more question. The gentleman in the blue jacket. Yeah.
Excellency, this is Talon from India. I'm a researcher in Indo-Pacific Studies. So I have a question. So when you have spoken more on the Philippines perspective on Indo-Pacific, so you are drawn more at the arbitration of 2016 award. But you are talking more on security dimensions. So what do you think about the trades and investments to counter China's hegemonic presence in South China Sea? So, Philippines do have great number of trustable partners. And how do you think like being in the fulcrum location in cartographically, Philippines in the fulcrum location of Indo-Pacific in the center. So how do you think like Philippines can overcome the shocks what may arise due to the ascendance of trade in through straits? What do they exist and lead to the South China Sea?
Again, let me echo what our secretary has publicly pronounced. The Philippines and China share the understanding that the South China Sea disputes do not constitute the totality of our bilateral relations, and a strong and comprehensive relations between Manila and Beijing brings only gains for our peoples and the region. President Marcos has already visited the People's Republic of China, and he affirmed this understanding as a basis for furthering our work to advance the very important relations between the Philippines and China, especially in terms of economics, as you have just mentioned. The Philippines intends to sincerely engage in the multilateral and bilateral mechanisms with China, including steps to improve communication lines at all levels to address incidents and help manage differences.
So thank you very much, Assistant Secretary. May I now request Secretary General of SAARC, Mr. Veerakun, to make his presentation.
Ambassador Saurabh Kumar, Secretary East, Ministry of External Affairs of India and Chair of the session, distinguished panelists, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor and privilege for me to attend the 6th Indian Ocean Conference under the theme Peace, Prosperity and Partnership for a Resilient Future. It is a further honor for me to be in Dhaka, which witnessed the birth of SAARC under the visionary leadership of the father of the nation, Bondobongo Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Dhaka was also the city to host the first ever SAARC summit in December of 1985. I convey gratitude to the India Foundation, the Ministry of External Affairs of the Republic of India, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of Bangladesh for hosting the 6th Indian Ocean Conference. The chosen theme for this conference is timely in the context of the current global order. The theme is equally relevant to SAARC as a regional organization which pursues the 3 Ps: peace, prosperity, and partnership as the bedrock of regional cooperation. This conference bears significance to us given that member states of SAARC are stakeholder countries of the Indian Ocean region. It is more so given that 4 member states of SAARC are in the category of least developed countries, 3 of which are in the process of graduation. Distinguished delegates, peace, progress, and prosperity remain the key components of sustainable socio-economic development in today's interconnected and interdependent global order. Cooperation, collaboration, and partnership at national, regional, and international levels strongly contribute towards addressing the traditional and non-traditional problems and challenges being faced by humanity around the globe, and thereby contributing towards enhancing peace, stability, and development, and establishing a prosperous, sustainable, and resilient future for all. The Indian Ocean region possesses compelling degree of convergence of interests for the countries in the region and beyond. Endowed with abundant natural resources and being a center for hydrological cycle, the Indian Ocean offers enormous opportunities for development. There's a closer link in terms of ecological and weather patterns of the Indian Ocean and the mountainous regions, especially the Hindu Kush Himalayan range. The region also assumes special significance as the countries share historic, civilizational, and cultural linkages. As one of the busiest trade routes in the world, the Indian Ocean provides important sea lanes that serve as arteries of the international economy. Having routes for more than 3/4 of the world's seaborne oil and 1/3 of global trade, the Indian Ocean assumes considerable significance in the global economy. Even for the landlocked countries in this region, which are members of SAARC, the Indian Ocean is a lifeline for their external trade. Attaining peace and prosperity in the Indian Ocean region through partnership is therefore crucially important and conducive to promoting peace and prosperity in other sub-regions and the globe at large. Likewise, preserving the ecological balance in every geographical region, including the high Himalayas, the low-lying lands, and the ocean, would be a key for sustainable development by addressing the adverse effects of climate change and environmental challenges. Distinguished delegates, SAARC represents the manifestation of the determination of its member states to promote peace, stability, amity, and progress in the region. It is based on the premise that the objectives of peace, freedom, social justice, and economic prosperity are best achieved in South Asia by fostering mutual understanding, good neighborly relations, and meaningful cooperation among the member states. The 18th SAARC Summit expressed firm determination to deepen regional integration for peace, stability, and prosperity in South Asia. The SAARC leaders acknowledged that the member states, particularly the least developed and landlocked ones, face structural constraints and challenges that result in their weak productive capacity, affecting their competitiveness in external trade due to, among others, high trade and transit cost. SAARC fully recognizes the common challenges, interests, and aspirations of the peoples of South Asia and beyond. It also recognizes that regional cooperation among the countries is mutually beneficial, desirable, and necessary, not only for attaining national and collective self-reliance, but also for promoting the welfare of its peoples and improving their quality of life. Distinguished delegates, the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, followed by the public health crisis, has complicated the developmental scenario and reversed the hard-earned development gains of the past several years. We need to the COVID-19 pandemic created economic and social instability, and the biggest sufferers were the LDCs. They suffered severely on the economic front, witnessing many job losses and a sharp rise in new poor and poverty, and are most vulnerable to climate change. The graduation process also poses serious challenges to them on their path to economic prosperity. We need to devise innovative and transformative means towards the implementation of the 2030 Development Agenda, including, among others, through evolving new partnerships and mechanisms, facilitating technology transfer, capacity building, information access, and monitoring and reporting for accountability. It is imperative we pay due attention to the threats posed by climate change and the degrading environment, and work in tandem to ensure responsible growth and sustainable development while living in harmony with nature. The time is now ripe for all of us to focus on in attaining sustainable peace and prosperity across the region through strengthened partnerships. Any initiative meant for attaining a more secure, open, inclusive, and prosperous Indian Ocean region would greatly contribute towards fostering peace, stability, and development in the region and beyond. In essence, the Indian Ocean should prevail as an ocean of prosperity and not an ocean of conflict. I thank you very much.
We are running out of time. The clock is in front of me and it is ticking away. We can take 2 questions. Yeah, one from the right corner of the room, the gentleman in blue shirt. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me the opportunity. My name is Mohsin. I'm a journalist. And thank you, Excellency. After a decade, I basically heard about SARC. Thank you. So my question is, Excellency, can you forecast when the SARC summit can take place?
Thank you for the question. It is beyond my pay grade. If you know the SARC process, it is the SARC leaders who will decide. So I'm sure at an appropriate time, there will be a summit.
Yeah. The gentleman right behind. Huh?
Your Excellency, my name is Mustafiz Rahman. I'm working in the Financial Express in Bangladesh. My question is to Your Excellency that it has been said that SARC has been limping and due to the rivalry between India and Pakistan. So what do you think? Do you think that if Pakistan is excluded from this group, then it could be vibrated again?
Question is not coming through.
No, if Pakistan is excluded, can we revive SARC? That was his question. Because it is limping because of the dispute between India and Pakistan.
Right.
Suppose we exclude Pakistan, can we revive SARC?
I don't think it's a fair question. When the founding fathers of SARC, when they met, they decided that 7 will work together. Then the 7 became 8 in 2007 with the entry of Afghanistan. So it is up to the, I said there's a SARC process, it's member state driven. So the member states will have to decide that. I'm only I call myself the chief servant of SARC. I can't decide on those matters. Thank you.
So thank you very much. May I now request Deputy Assistant Secretary, State Department, Ms. Afreen Akhter, to make a presentation.
Good evening, everybody. How is everybody doing? Are you awake? Good. I know that I am probably the last person standing between you and dinner, so I will endeavor to keep my remarks as short as possible. I want to start by thanking Secretary Kumar and the India Foundation and the government of Bangladesh. I see Foreign Secretary Momin there, for inviting me to speak with you all today. It's truly an honor to be here and to hear all of the incredible perspectives from this region. I want to echo my Deputy Secretary, Wendy Sherman, who provided remarks virtually earlier today, in thanking everybody, including Minister Jai Shankar and Foreign Minister Momin and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, for organizing this vital dialogue. And I want to just reiterate a message that she gave, which is that the United States is absolutely committed to the Indian Ocean region. From the Straits of Malacca to the Arabian Sea, this strategically important region is filled with promise and opportunity, and we believe that the future of the world order will be written here. I'm going to focus my remarks on just a few key ways in which the United States is building peace, prosperity, and resilience in this vital region, which I know is the theme of this conference. I'll start with climate change, which I know is top of mind for many in this room, particularly the smaller island states. We know that the climate crisis is acutely felt in this region. Warming temperatures and rising sea levels are resulting in coastal erosion, flooding, and extreme weather events. And so the United States recognizes that this is one of our top priorities. It is an urgent crisis, and we are driving investment and resources into the Indian Ocean region to help countries respond to this problem. For instance, we are working with the Congress to provide $165 million in programming across this region to help countries adapt to climate change and mitigate, including transitioning countries to clean energy. We're already working in the Indian Ocean region to support these transitions. For instance, our Development Finance Corporation in the United States invested $500 million in First Solar in India to boost India's solar production. And this effort supports Prime Minister Modi's goal to install 500 gigawatts of renewable power generation in India, which will help save lives by reducing air pollution. In addition, the United States, through our Millennium Challenge Corporation Compact, is providing another $500 million in Nepal to build hydropower lines and roads. And here in Bangladesh, the United States is implementing a $17 million program over 5 years to help Bangladesh access affordable clean energy and support innovation in this clean energy economy. In addition, the United States is working across the region, including in Maldives and Sri Lanka, to help stop the flow of plastics pollution, develop climate-smart agriculture, and adapt to the effects of climate change. So again, we recognize that this is one of the top priorities for your region, and we are doing everything we can to help countries respond to this crisis. Resilience and prosperity are two other themes of this conference, so I want to talk about two additional ways in which we're supporting resilience and prosperity in this Indian Ocean region. And we're doing that by responding to economic crises, particularly in the wake of COVID-19, but also in terms of making long-term investments in the region. Many of the folks on this panel and throughout this conference have talked about recovery from COVID-19. The United States was proud to deliver 700 million vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines worldwide, and 265 million of those vaccines were delivered to countries in the Indo-Pacific region, including over 100 million here in Bangladesh, which has been truly a tremendous partner in health. We also supported the production of additional vaccine doses in the region through our Quad vaccine partnership with Australia, India, and Japan, and we will continue to be an absolutely steadfast partner to this region as we strengthen health systems and bolster resilience so that we can respond more quickly and more ably to future health threats. In addition, as I mentioned earlier, the United States is nimbly responding to unfolding economic crises in the region, supporting economic development, and catalyzing private investment. So for instance, in response to the economic crisis in Sri Lanka, the United States provided over $250 million in assistance and financing to help Sri Lanka recover from this crisis. That included $46 million in fertilizer assistance to help Sri Lankan farmers boost their production and support food security in that country. And over the last 2 years, the United States Development Finance Corporation has invested an additional $400 million in funding to support Sri Lanka's micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, especially those owned by women. So again, these are just a few examples of the ways in which the United States is supporting resilience, prosperity, and peace in the Indian Ocean region. I want to end by talking about regional architecture and the importance of collective action in driving resilience, peace, and prosperity. Catalyzing collective action is, of course, one of the key aims of this conference. And as I'm sharing this panel with multiple representatives from multilateral organizations, I just want to end with an observation and an appeal. So South Asia, which is the region that I cover as Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, is one of the least integrated regions in the world, especially when it comes to trade and people-to-people contact. And this comes at a huge cost to the region. Intra-regional trade in South Asia is 1/5 of its potential, with an estimated annual gap of $44 billion. The World Bank estimates that an electricity market among Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Nepal would save billions in capital costs, and improvements in transport and logistics could reduce by 50% the cost of container shipments across South Asia. And these changes, we all know, would have a truly transformative impact across this region. The United States' Indo-Pacific strategy makes clear that our positive vision for a shared region cannot be achieved without working in partnership with all of the countries here to build collective capacity. Building and leveraging these regional architectures, SARC and BIMSTEC, are absolutely critical to this effort. Next month, the United States will be attending the Indian Ocean Rim Association Strategic Dialogue, where IORA member states will gather to discuss collaboration in the Indian Ocean region. And I think collectively discussing the climate crisis will be one of the key priorities for us as an IORA dialogue partner. The United States is absolutely committed to regional and multilateral efforts in this region that have helped advance prosperity, and we want to see this regional architecture grow and sustain itself because, again, there's so much more that can happen here if our countries can work together. As I head back to Washington, I will take all of your perspectives with me, and your voices will guide our efforts to build prosperity, peace, and freedom in this region. So thank you, and I'll take your questions now. Thank you.
I'll just come to you, sir. I think there was a hand there. Ambassador Trigunathe.
Thank you, Ambassador. Madam Assistant Secretary, thank you very much for that very energizing speech that you gave and recounted the various assistance programs that United States is providing. May I refer to what your colleague, Philippines, stated, that UNCLOS is the constitution of the seas. China does not abide by it, and you don't seem to recognize it. So does it not cast some doubt on your sincerity towards the rule-based order? Secondly, would you kindly...
Does it cast a doubt over the rules-based order?
Yes. And what drives U.S. in the region? Is it the geopolitics or the geoeconomics or both?
Well, I will start with, I suppose, the latter question. Geopolitics does not drive our relationships with this region. We work bilaterally and multilaterally in order to build security, prosperity, and collectivity in this region. So we are very focused on the Indian Ocean region, as I outlined. We have a number of investments, and we are really looking to build our partnerships where those partnerships make sense. So that's number one. On UNCLOS, you know, I can't speak specifically to our participation in UNCLOS, but I will say that, you know, throughout the world, we support an international rules-based order, we support international law, and you know, we thank Bangladesh and other countries, for instance, for making statements recently in support of international law, specifically with respect to Ukraine. So we will endeavor to support a rules-based international order wherever we can. Thank you.
Sir.
Having served as Bangladesh's ambassador to the United States, I think I reserve a right to ask you this question. Has the US government given any reaction to Bangladesh's Indo-Pacific outlook as yet? European Union has welcomed it, called it a timely initiative. Australia has today, the Secretary told our State Minister, they also welcome it. Has the US given any reaction to that?
Yes, we absolutely welcome the Indo-Pacific outlook. So Foreign Secretary Momin was in Washington recently for a partnership dialogue with the United States, and Under Secretary Nuland reiterated that message. We see strong alignment across a whole host of fronts. There was reference to support for a rules-based order in the Indo-Pacific, also reference to supporting connectivity and infrastructure. So we think that there's strong alignment, and we really support it and look forward to helping Bangladesh implement its vision.
I can take one more question. There was somebody here. Yeah, so this would be the last question.
Namaste and Salaam Alaikum. I'm Neeraj from Nepal. And climate change has huge impact on global communities, though mountainous countries like Nepal is affected by climate change by 0.6 degree more than the global average. What is the plan of United States for, you know, for making the resilient communities of countries like Nepal? Thank you.
Can you very briefly repeat your question? What is your question?
My question is, what is the plan of United States for mountainous countries like Nepal and for making the resilient communities? That's my question.
For making the?
Resilient communities and to
tackle... Good.
Climate resilience.
Climate resilience, okay. Well,
climate resilience, okay, thank you.
So we actually, for Nepal, we support a whole host of programs to support climate adaptation, particularly with respect to, you know, your forest communities, But again, our big effort in Nepal is actually to support your transition to clean energy through regional hydropower, which will transform Nepal's economy, we believe, because it will allow you to export hydropower in mass capacity, but also, again, of course, support climate mitigation efforts and ensure that Nepal, I think, will become a green economy. I think your goal is to do so by 2040, and so again, we're largely invested in Nepal to support your climate adaptation and mitigation efforts. Thank you.
So thank you very much. So with your permission, I'll just take 2 minutes to say a few words and wrap up this session. First and foremost, let me thank all the panelists for their presentations, which were all very incisive, very varied. We touched upon regional bodies, pan-regional bodies, and the presentation by the Philippines and American friend there. One thing which comes out very clearly is that regional and pan-regional bodies have a place when we talk about peace, prosperity, and security. But also what is very clear is that building these bodies is not an easy task. It is laborious, it takes time, it is determined by the politics of the area, but the effort to build strong regional bodies which work towards peace and prosperity is important, and this would be an ongoing exercise. I would like to thank my Philippine colleague for putting out very clearly the place of international law, UNCLOS, as far as the maritime domain is concerned. The role of ASEAN, its centrality and unity are hugely important, and I think that was brought out in his presentation. I would also like to thank my American colleague for making it clear that the United States is committed to the Indian Ocean region, letting us know about the projects and initiatives which the United States has taken in the region, and the overall effort and the direction in which the United States would like the region to move, which is more regional integration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, and thank you to all our panelists for a very engaging and insightful discussion. May we now request the chair of our session, Ambassador Saurabh Kumar, to felicitate our distinguished panelists. Mr. Tenzin Lekhphell. Mr. Resela Vidakun. Mr. Isiala Abdul Qadir Imam. Mr. Paul Vincent. Ms. Afreen Akhter. May we request our speakers and chair to stay back for a group picture, please. we request all of you to please remain seated while we start with the concluding session of our 6th Indian Ocean Conference.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think I know it's been a long day. We just need 15 more minutes. And now I request His Excellency Masood Momen, the Foreign Secretary of Bangladesh, to kindly come up onto the stage for this session to deliver his concluding remarks. I'll request now the Foreign Secretary of Bangladesh to kindly deliver the concluding remarks on completion of this.
Participating ministers, excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Very good afternoon to you all. After 2 days of intense deliberations, the 6th Indian Ocean Conference 2023 is coming to a close. As we draw the curtains on the conference in Dhaka, it gives me immense pleasure to extend my gratitude and appreciation to all the dignitaries and participants. The expertise and insights of the various speakers of different sessions have enriched our understanding of the challenges and opportunities in the region. We have also been enlightened on the position of the countries in the region and beyond through the deliberations. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Honorable President of Mauritius and Honorable Vice President of the Maldives for their kind presence in the conference. Our sincere gratitude to the Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh for kindly gracing the inaugural session yesterday. We appreciate the commitment of our leadership to the region's future. I recall at this opportunity our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who dreamt of a prosperous region beyond the Bay of Bengal and the poverty and hunger-free world. Ladies and gentlemen, during the discussions of the last 2 days, all underscored the necessity of collaboration for tapping the immense potentials of the Indian Ocean region for our mutual benefits. The potentials span across various sectors including trade, connectivity, tourism, marine resources, environmental sustainability, and security. The importance of the oceans for our collective future is irrefutable. The Indian Ocean, the 3rd largest ocean, may be our main frontier for tapping resources during the post-pandemic recovery. I'd reiterate here that the theme of this year's conference, Peace, Partnership, and Prosperity for a Resilient Future, has been the center point of our discussions. To ensure our oceans create opportunities for our people, we have to prioritize the 3 Ps of the theme: peace, prosperity, and partnership. Distinguished guests, the world's center of political and economic gravity is pivoting towards Asia and Africa. The importance of the Indian Ocean region needs no reiteration, especially for many countries whose existence, prosperity, and security were and will always be intimately linked to it. And yet, the Indian Ocean region is perhaps not one of the highly integrated regions of the world. We should not lose focus on the fact that the oceans are both an engine for global economic growth and the key source of food security. As many speakers noted, the oceans are coming under increased pressure from population growth, global competition for raw materials, food demand, water scarcity, maritime security threats, climate change, and marine pollution. These multiple challenges and other geoeconomic and geostrategic factors require cooperation among the states. For a resilient and better common future, it is necessary for the countries in the Indian Ocean region to explore the opportunities for mutual cooperation in all possible areas. We also need to prioritize capacity building of seeds and LDCs with the help from other countries in the region. We need to be connected in every possible way and form through ideas, innovation, trade, financing, culture, and tourism. Each littoral state should make sure that growth and prosperity in the Indian Ocean region and the neighboring seas and bays are founded on mutual trust and respect, and with an understanding of commonality of interest as all the littoral states work to develop jointly. We all should reaffirm our conviction and solidify the cultural ties centered on the Indian Ocean and the nearby seas and bays. Ladies and gentlemen, Bangladesh puts great emphasis on enhancing physical, institutional, energy, digital, and human connectivity, facilitate movement of goods, services, capital, and people in a systematic manner, and promote technology transfer and access to innovations in the region. We would like the other countries in the region engage and cooperate proactively in promoting food security, water solidarity, and disaster risk reduction. Cooperation among the countries to address the challenges of climate change, biodiversity loss, marine pollution, and other significant and harmful impacts on the environment is also critically important. We also need to work together to ensure energy security for all and towards developing coordinated responses to future pandemics and ensuring health security, including through access for all to global public goods like vaccines, etc. Distinguished guests, following the vision of the father of our nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, Bangladesh attaches high priority to the oceans and blue economy in our endeavor to transform Bangladesh into a prosperous nation. Following the legacy of Bangabandhu, his able daughter, Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, has taken the development trajectory of Bangladesh to a new height over the past decades. Bangladesh is now considered as the role model of development. The success of Bangladesh in reducing poverty and improving other socioeconomic indicators has been lauded worldwide. As we move forward in our development endeavors, we look forward to promoting regional cooperation and contribute our level best to the Indian Ocean region. We consider Indian Ocean crucial for Bangladesh. We are committed to working with all other countries and look forward to receiving cooperation from other countries to ensure peace and prosperity in the region. We consider the stability and prosperity in the Indian Ocean as an essential component in achieving our Vision 2041, under which we aspire to build a modern, knowledge-based, smart Bangladesh by 2041. We envision an Indian Ocean that is free, open, peaceful, secure, inclusive, and promoting shared prosperity for all. We have already declared our Indo-Pacific outlook accommodating this vision, and we remain committed to working with all our regional partners towards this end. Our Honorable Prime Minister yesterday suggested 6 priority areas where Indian Ocean region should focus on, and I would like to mention them again: maritime diplomacy, combating climate change and natural disasters, strengthening partnerships, strengthening mechanisms for maritime safety and security, promoting a culture of peace, and finally, promoting equitable and sustainable development. In line with these, we may build on our cooperation and collaboration among the Indian Ocean countries to ensure better future for us. On this note, before I stop here, on behalf of my government, I would express once again our sincere gratitude to all the participating countries in this 6th Indian Ocean Conference in Dhaka. With your commitment and contribution, I believe this 6th Indian Ocean Conference has become a remarkable success, and we can carry forward the takeaways of this conference to the next conference and other global discourses. I thank you all. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu.
With this concluding session, the 6th Indian Ocean Conference comes to an end. It was in 2016 that we in India Foundation felt the need of organizing this conference to get various stakeholders in Indian Ocean region to come together and deliberate on mutual concerns to evolve a way forward. The conference that started in Singapore traversed through Colombo, Hanoi, Male, and Abu Dhabi before arriving in Dhaka. With each conference, the stature of the conference has enhanced, and so has the participation. The aim of the conference was to bring policymakers from various countries and scholars on one forum so that ideas could be exchanged and an Indian Ocean community could be evolved that could be on the same page as far as issues concerning the region are concerned. We have come a long way, but a lot more needs to be done, as was clearly evident during the conference. Such a conference would not have been feasible without the unstinted support of various organizations and individuals. And I'll be failing in my duty if I do not express our gratitude to them. First of all, I'd like to thank Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, the Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh, for her unstinted support. We were fortunate to have her as the chief guest at the inaugural session and benefit from her words of advice. I would also like to thank His Excellency Prithvi Raj Singh Rupan, GCSK, Honorable President of Mauritius, for taking time out to be with us and deliver the inaugural address. We would also like to thank His Excellency Faisal Naseem, Honorable Vice President of Maldives, for being with us and addressing the conference. We were fortunate to have him with us during the last conference as well. I would like to thank Dr. S. Jaishankar, the Honorable External Affairs Minister of India, for delivering the keynote address and his continuing support. And it would not be out of place to say that the conference owes its existence to him a great deal. And consequently, he has been associated with all the editions of this conference. I'd also like to express our gratitude to His Excellency Dr. A.K. Abdul Momin, the Foreign Minister of Bangladesh and an old friend of India Foundation. He not only ensured the complete support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but also delivered the welcome remarks despite his indifferent health. This conference acquired gravitas from the presence of esteemed speakers. I'd like to thank all our speakers and chairs, including ministers, senior officials, and scholars who came from various corners of the world, taking time out from their busy schedules to be with us. We thank His Excellency Muhammad Shahryar Alam, State Minister of Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh and a member of the organizing committee, who has been associated with most of our previous conferences, and His Excellency Masood bin Momen, the Foreign Secretary. MOFA team gave their wholehearted support to make this conference an unprecedented success. It would not be out of place to acknowledge the enormous efforts put in by Ambassador Mashfi bin Samch, Mr. Raqibul Haq, DG South Asia, Manwar Mukarram, Mehde, Anirban, Ishtiaq, Mohammad Rana, Subarna, and other members of the team. I would also like to acknowledge the continuous support that we have been receiving from our partner, S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies, who have been associated with us since the first edition in 2016 under the distinguished leadership of Ambassador Ong. We have also been fortunate in having the complete support of Ministry of External Affairs. I'd like to acknowledge the immense support that we received from Shri Saurabh Kumar, Secretary East, Dr. Sumit Seth, JSPP&R, Smita Pant, JSBM, and Mr. Jayant Kripakar. Special thanks to our sponsors, Adani Group, Radiance Reality, Greenco, Aurora Group of Institutions, Lulu Group, GMR, ONGC, Indian Oil Corporation, State Bank of India, National Stock Exchange, and Global School Foundation, Singapore. I would also like to thank the members of the organizing committee in helping us to come out with a perfect program and subsequently in helping us with the conference. My gratitude to all the embassies in Dhaka and New Delhi for their support, members from various media houses for covering this event. I'd also like to thank our event managers and their teams. Also a word of appreciation for Hotel Intercontinental and its wonderful staff. I would be failing in my duty if I do not thank Team India Foundation. Amongst our trustees, Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, Professor Sunaina Singh, and Shri Ashok Mittal were with us. And from our Governing Council, I'd like to thank Shri Suresh Prabhu, Chairman Governing Council, Ambassador Preeti Saran, General Arun Sahani, Shri Saurya Doval. The conference owes its existence to Dr. Ram Madhav, President India Foundation, who has been the main force behind the conference, behind its conception as well as its execution. Those of you who have traveled from far and wide would appreciate the work put in by my team comprising of Diksha Goyal, Soumya Chaturvedi, Anmol Mahajan, Yashovardhan Tiwari, and Shivani, who were available to you round the clock to answer your queries. They have literally burned the midnight oil to ensure this conference materializes. They have received full support from other members of India Foundation, namely Shri Kom Carpentier, Sai Kiran, Jigar Enamdar, Hamsa Devineni, Dr. Shishti Pokhram, Apurv Mishra, Satyen Tripathi, Siddharth Singh, Chitra Shekhawat, and Nawang Hardy. Finally, the success of the conference eventually depends on you, the audience. During the conference, over 300 delegates from over 40 countries and multilateral organizations participated. Your continuous presence throughout the conference shows that the conference has gained greater visibility globally. Thank you very much for being a wonderful audience. Au revoir. See you in Australia next year. Thank you. All present are cordially invited for the dinner being hosted today by Secretary East, and I extend this invitation on his behalf to all those who are present here. Thank you.